All right, peace. How is everybody enjoying their Sunday? Well, this is Sunday evening at the time that I'm doing this video. So I wanted to come on and talk about the upcoming events, astrological events, and important feast days, at least for me, that are going to be coming up this week. So, one thing that's going to be happening astrologically is Saturn. And Saturn is the planet of structure, lessons, restrictions, okay? And it deals with authority, traditions, and authority figures as well. So Saturn has been retrograde, and it was in the sign of Aries. It's gonna move. It's gonna move back into Pisces briefly until 2026. Okay, so those themes and those things that were we dealt with, I would say over the last 2.5 years before Saturn moved into Aries, we'll be revisiting those things. Now, if you're a Pisces, or if you're a Virgo, or if you are a mutable sign. So mutable signs would be Pisces, obviously, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Virgo again. So those signs are going to be impacted the most. However, this will affect everyone, okay? If you were having your Saturn return previous to this, you're going to have a little bit of your Saturn return is going to come back, okay? So for those of you who just turned 30, you were just coming out of a Saturn return, which means more than likely your Saturn was in Pisces. So you will be revisiting those themes again. So what does this mean? So Pisces energy, Pisces rules the 12th house, and that's the house of spirituality. It's also the house that deals with karmic lessons, things that were left over from previous lifetimes that we still need to address, that we have to deal with. It deals with also, the 12th house deals with self-sabotage, how we are our own undoing, okay? So this is going to be a time where Saturn talks about structure. Saturn talks about learning lessons, okay? So this is going to be a time where we're going to be revisiting lessons that deal with spirituality, our spiritual beliefs, our foundational spiritual beliefs, okay? This may be a time where you need to go back and reclaim some of your ancestral, because Saturn has a little bit of ancestral energy to it. We need to go back and reclaim some of our ancestral spiritual beliefs and take these beliefs. And Saturn is about making things practical, bringing them into form, right? How we need to restructure our spiritual beliefs, how we may need to restructure our spiritual practices even. And on another level, we have to look at how we are sabotaging ourselves or undermining ourselves, that could be affecting how we deal with spirituality, how we deal with our belief systems, and how we may be sabotaging and undoing ourselves just in general, okay? So this is going to be in this placement until next year. I think around, don't quote me on this, I'm going to have to go check for sure, but I believe around February, March is when Saturn is going to be coming out of Pisces again and moving back into Aries. But don't quote me on that because I have to look that part up, okay? So yes, we'll be dealing with that energy again. I know I was having, even though this is not something that they talk about in astrology, I was having a Saturn opposition because my Saturn is in Virgo. And woo-wee, it was similar to a Saturn return, okay? I'm going to tell you. So if you're having Saturn opposition, it could be a little tricky too, okay? But hopefully you learned your lessons. You did the work that you were needing to do, because Saturn also deals with work, okay? So this may be a time where you may have to put in a little extra spiritual work, okay? You may need to reevaluate your spiritual practices and find ways to take, because Pisces energy is like that mystical, creative energy in the void. And Saturn energy says, okay, take the inspiration that you get in Pisces and make it come into physical form. Make it practical to where you can build with it and where it's your foundation, okay? So these are going to be some of the themes that we're going to need to deal with while Saturn is making this transit. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about that's happening is we're going to have a lunar eclipse. So we're going to have 2 eclipses in September. One on the 7th, one on the 21st. Now, the one on the 7th is going to be, well, we're having 2 eclipses. This is a lunar eclipse. The one on the 21st is a solar eclipse. Eclipses always come in pairs. One is going to be lunar, one is going to be solar. This is the way that the energy works, right? So this eclipse is a blood moon eclipse, okay? And it's going to be in the sign of Pisces. So this is going to be conjunct Saturn. And it's also going to be conjunct the North Node. Now remember, the nodes stay in one sign for about 18 months, okay? So the North Node is in Pisces. The North Node deals with your destiny and your fate, and how that destiny and fate can be connected to others that you meet, others that you are destined to meet, and things like that. So with that North Node energy being there and that eclipse energy, eclipses are sudden and dramatic changes and shifts. And with this blood moon eclipse, this shift and these changes, and also eclipses deal with sudden endings. So it's like I've described it before. It's almost like an acupuncturist, and you go to the acupuncturist and they take those little needles and put pressure on different points so that energy in those points and in those meridians can be released, right? So one thing that eclipses causes, they cause sudden transformation and changes, but those changes evolve around suddenly releasing or ending something. Now, the moon deals with our emotions. It deals with the subconscious mind as well. And it deals with the energy of the mother and the energy of the feminine energy, right? But it's like we're going to have the moon, which is like the mother, the feminine, and then Saturn, which is the father. So this is going to be a time where mother, father issues, family issues, but issues, again, that are connected to our ancestors, our mother and our father specifically, things that need to be cleared, that need to be ended, okay? A lot of this is going to be about wounding, okay? Generational trauma, generational wounds. And these things are the resolution to these things, because we have to look at the sign that it's in, Pisces. Pisces says, I believe. So our belief systems. Now, these belief systems, some of this stuff is subconscious things and programs that have embedded in us, in our subconscious mind, from our mother and our father, that we need to release, that we need to heal, okay? Some of this stuff, a lot of it is going to be also emotional things dealing with our emotions and how we feel about certain things based on our belief system, based on our earlier programming from the mother and the father, okay? Or a mother or father figure, okay? So this is going to be a time where it's going to, for one, we have a full moon. So full moons bring things to the surface. It illuminates things. So it's going to bring clarity, and this may start to build before the actual eclipse and full moon. But there's going to be a bringing to the surface, an illuminating, which is making you aware of. Now, this moon could bring up a lot of emotional stuff. So you may go through like a purge where you need to clear. You may feel very emotional. You may feel like crying, and it could come out as anger. It could come out as different things, because these are going to be things that are going to be coming up to the surface. And again, these could be ancestral things. So you may even be clearing things on an ancestral level, things that you inherited, okay? Sometimes if you're watching me, you're the vessel in your family, pretty much, okay? One thing that I know I am here to do is to help people end karmic, generational, family patterns, soul patterns, okay? A lot of the work that I do for myself and for other people are about breaking energy, breaking cycles, breaking patterns, whether it's breaking spells, curses, breaking or sending away entities or deities, clearing things, healing things. But one major thing that I do, and it's because of what I need to do for myself and within my own family, which gave me license, other than the fact that that's really what my soul is here to do. Like, from what I've gathered over the years, is that my ancestors called me here, okay? Their tears, their pain, their suffering called me here. They call for the breaker, okay? And I remember my father told me a long time ago, he was like, you can break a spell, good. you can, and I'm good at protecting. I have a very strong warrior-like energy. And my ancestors summoned me here to come here during this important time to do this work. Okay, because of what my soul carried. Because let me just say this, every spiritual practitioner is not the same. This is why you have certain people who specialize in certain things. Everybody cannot break spells and stop curses and break cycles in people and purge and banish. Everyone is not gifted in that. And believe me, this is a hard thing to be gifted in, okay? I'm going to let you know right now, it is not an easy specialty to have, okay? But I take it with honor and with pride, okay? But you have to have spiritual license, I would say. You have to have a soul that carries that type of energy, okay? That has that ability to do that type of work. This is why some people, all they do is love work, because that's what their soul is here to do, and their soul is really great at that, okay? And I don't do a lot of love work. My love work is more geared around healing. When somebody comes to me for love work, I immediately start talking about healing, releasing, and things like that, okay? My work is more about healing when it comes to love than it is I'm about to make this person love you and I'm about to do all these different things. But some people specialize in that, and that's their thing, okay? So everybody's not here for the same thing, but my ancestors called me here into this lifetime to do this work. And I've been told that many times, okay? And I've had that confirmed many times. So if you're watching me, especially this video, you, my dear, are the person that your ancestors called. Now, was I always aware on a conscious level that this is what I was here to do? No. But I knew I had a spiritual purpose. I knew I was being called to do work. I just wasn't. It took me time to understand, because I kept saying there's a calling on my life. There's a calling on my life. I would go to church and it wasn't, my soul wasn't being fed there, and I didn't feel connected. I said, this is not it. This is not where I'm being called to, okay? But once I got my head on straight, and once I became very clear that my calling was not going to be in a church, I was not here to be an evangelist, like some people told me, you would make a wonderful evangelist. That's not my ministry. That's not my calling, okay? Your calling may be somewhat different how you do what you do. But you are here, my dear, to stop, to break, and to transmute generational curses, generational trauma in your bloodline to some extent. Whether you're going to be working with other spiritualists to help you. And let me just say this, even if you do hire someone like me or other spiritualists to help you do this work, listen to what I just said. Help you do this work. I meet certain clients and they want to just pay me to do their work, and they want to just lay down and just, play dead like I hired her to do it, so I have nothing to do. No, baby. That's not your path. And if you treat it that way, you're not going to do the work that you're here to do. I'm here as a guide. I'm here to support. Okay? But there are things that you must do. You can hire me to help you and support you in doing some of these things. But there are things that you yourself must do. Okay? Let me make that very clear. I cannot do everything for you. And I've had to tell clients that I tell them, well, you got to do this kind of work. Well, can I hire you to do it? No. This is something that you have to do. This is something that your soul agreed to do when you came into this lifetime. And you were called here to do it. And you will continue to face obstacles, issues, and trauma and drama until you do. Okay? So this eclipse energy is going to illuminate what that is. It's going to shine a light, because that's what a full moon does. Shine a light on that area where you need to work, where you need to focus your attention, where things need to be released, purged, cleared, and transmuted. Now, because it is a blood moon, this is going to enhance the energy of transformation, okay? So this is about, and I'm going to tell you something too I've noticed lately. I've been seeing a lot of butterflies. A lot of butterflies. I went outside today to sit outside. I seen 2 white butterflies. The other day I walked out of the store and there were these 2 black butterflies like dancing together. Okay. I've seen so many butterflies. Butterflies are a symbol of transformation and metamorphosis. Okay. And remember, I was telling you guys this year, especially we gotta remember we're coming out of that Lion's Gateway. And then we had the black moon for the new moon, right? All this transforming energy. Then we have this lunar eclipse that's coming in, right? So there's a lot of energy pushing us to change, pushing us to release, to end, to transform, okay? So that's what this eclipse energy is going to be about. This eclipse, I think, is even special because of the day that it's on. So on September the 7th, for those of you who work with the Orisha, Yemaya, it is her feast day. Okay. Now Yemaya is associated with the moon. Okay, that's the first thing. Now Yemaya is the mother of the Orisha. Okay. Her first emanation was known as Yembo. Okay. And she is known to be a serpent, mermaid energy, right? Her home is the sea, the 7 seas, the ocean, the mother of waters, okay? And so she's called upon for healing, for nurturing. She protects women and children. She'll protect anyone, but especially women and children. She's called on fertility. She's called on for wealth, okay? And things like that. Now, I have a close relationship with Yemaya. She is on my altar over here next to, some say her mother. Some say her sister. Others say her daughter, Oshun. Now, their feast days are 1 day apart. So, Yemaya's feast day is on the 7th, the day of the eclipse. Very powerful day to have her energy there. So, you see that strong emphasis on the mother. So, there's going to be a strong emphasis on healing that mother wound. For real, for real. Now, we're talking family, but let's look a little tighter into the mother womb, okay? And that Pisces energy is also very much so connected to Yemaya energy, okay? Very much so connected to Yemaya. The next day, we're going to have Oshun's feast day, September the 8th, okay? So these are going to be 2 powerful days to work with these deities on, okay? I'm going to be doing a community service ritual on the 7th for Yemaya, on the 8th for Oshun. So if you'd like to purchase those petitions, they're very affordable. I recommend purchasing both because they work very well together, okay? And especially if you're a woman, oh my God, you definitely want to have Yemaya and Oshun on your side, okay? And especially with this energy of needing to heal, needing to cleanse and deal with the mother womb, the family womb. Yemaya and Oshun are very good for healing and dealing with the emotions and dealing with the divine feminine energy and protecting women, okay? If you feel like you're a woman and you need extra protection, maybe you have a man trying to dominate you or a masculine energy trying to dominate you, even if it's not a man. But she's very, very much so for protecting women, healing, nurturing energy, both of them, for love, for wealth and prosperity, okay? Those types of things are what mostly people petition Yemaya and Oshun for. So I highly recommend you purchasing those rituals. It's up on my website if you're interested. So I'm looking at my notes, y'all. So again, after that, we're going to be coming up on the next important event that we're going to be having is going to be the fall equinox, okay? And that's going to be on September the 21st, the day before the next eclipse, which is a solar eclipse. And it's going to be in the sign of Libra, okay? Now, the fall equinox is opposite to the spring equinox. The equinox means equal. So it's the only 2 days of the year where the light hours and night hours are equal. So this is about balancing the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. This is about harvest season too, right? When we're going into the fall, fall is the season where you harvest and you gather all the things that you have, the seeds you planted in the spring, you harvest them in the fall, right? Time of gathering. So with that energy being there, this is going to be a powerful time for you to do things about getting balance in your life, okay? And about harvesting and bringing in and manifesting from the time of what you were planting in the spring to what is now manifesting in your life in the fall. So this is a time where you may even start to see some of the work that you were doing then come into fruition, okay? And you want to do things geared toward balance in your life, balancing that masculine and feminine, that yin and that yang, that dark and that light energy, getting balance and harmony within your life. Now that energy is Libra energy, which deals with Venus. So it's a good time for harvesting because we know that Venus deals with wealth and like abundance of things, okay? So working around with those energies and on those days are going to be very important. When you do your work, I think it's really important to work with these eclipses and equinoxes as well as working with the solstices, okay? Because though during those times, a gateway opens, a portal opens, okay? And the energy that when the portal is open, when the gateway is open and you call on these elemental celestial energies, you have an open space with a very fertile energy so that you can then manipulate the energy. That's what magic is, manipulation of energy to manifest what you want, okay? As we move away from the fall equinox, the veil is starting to get thin. And, you know, from there, we'll be going into Sal Wednesday, Dia de Muertos, okay? Day of the Dead, Halloween, okay? But you're not going to get too much into that right now. That's for a later video. But let me just tell y'all something, okay? I've been so blessed because sometimes on this path, if you are a spiritual worker, and some of you are spiritual workers and you watch me, and some of you have been my students, okay? And I see y'all out there. Shout out to my students that's been making shit happen. I am so proud of you all. I'm not going to call your names out because you may not want me to put you on blast, but some of you have trained. I have trained you to do Reiki, attuned you. You've taken classes, and I used to do apprenticeship. And I can see some of you out there, shaking and moving, and y'all doing events at different places, and you have your own businesses, and I'm very, very proud of you all and very happy to see you all still out there, because if you came through me, I keep it real with you. And sometimes this path is hard, and sometimes you feel very unappreciated. Us real spiritual practitioners, us people who do it from the heart, who do it because we love and we care and do it with integrity, sometimes people take that for granted. And recently I did an event. This was a couple months ago in July. I went to a psychic fair, and I received an email from the owner of the metaphysical shop who said that one of the people that I gave a reading to came back to her shop and told her what a big impact my reading was on her. And she invited me and asked me to come back and do another event. And it really touched my heart, because I do this because I care. I do this because I love my people. I do this because it's what I'm here to do, and I do it with integrity. And sometimes it's really hard because people take for granted the sacrifices that us spiritual practitioners make to service the community, and how difficult it can be at times. And so to have somebody remind me of the impact that I made in their lives, and for this shop owner to recognize that and ask me to come back, it really touched my heart. So I will be going back to the Crimson Commuter, which is where the woman who went to the shop and told them about the reading I gave her, this is where I was at. So on November 1st, Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, the day that I honor one of my beloved deities, La Santísima Muerte, is her sacred day. So she's doing a psychic fair on November 1st, on the Day of the Dead, and I will be at the Crimson Commuter in Madison Heights, Michigan. I think I posted it on my page, so you can go there and get the address and information. Come check your girl out. I'll have products. I'll be doing readings, natal chart and astrology readings, as well as selling products. So come support me. And yeah, that's it. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace.